Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Stay a while. Best sports show out. Welcome to episode 32 of Highly Opinionated. I'm your co-host, Josh. Ladies and gentlemen, the best co-host in the game, the host of the Club JG podcast. JG, what's up, my brother?
Happy Monday, fellas. How we doing today?
We are good, man. How are you?
Everything is well, man. Can't complain. It's got some nice weather outside for a change, so that's always good.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great weekend for the weather, great weekend in sports, great weekend for everything, man. So a lot of greatness going on. Ladies and gentlemen, the best editor, the best producer, the best guy here on, tie between Ross and Dylan, who you will see Dylan later on. But ladies and gentlemen, the best producer in the game, best editor in the game, the guy that makes us look good every week. Ross, what's going on, my brother?
What's good, Josh? How you feeling?
I'm good, man. I can't complain. Taking it one day at a time. What about you?
Yeah, I'm good. Like JG said, we got some nice weather. Obviously, as you can see with his attire, he's not a big O's fan, but we are here in Baltimore. It was opening day. It definitely looked lit out there. Sad I couldn't make it, but yeah, I'm definitely ready to get this show started and talk some sports.
Absolutely. Happy opening day to the Baltimore Orioles and their fans. That home game today at Oriole Park. Camden Yards, I call it Oriole Park, but Camden Yards. So congratulations to the Orioles. Hopefully they find a way to win this game.
I believe they did win.
They did win? Okay.
I believe they
did. We will
did.
definitely be getting into baseball, ladies and gentlemen. We will definitely be getting into that. That's one sport we really haven't touched like that, but we will be getting into that. We want to thank you guys for watching last week's show. Appreciate you for tuning into this week's show. Again, we aim to be the best. Please comment, subscribe, like, DM, whatever you want to do. We will definitely get back to it. Speaking of that, Ross, let them know where you can find. Let the people know where they can find us at on social media.
Yes, sir. Y'all can follow us on Instagram at Highly Opinionated __. Y'all can follow us on X at Highly O_SS. And you can follow us on TikTok at Highly Opinionated _SS. I know that's a lot, so we're going to have it right there on the screen for y'all. And, of course, y'all already on YouTube, so go ahead, like, subscribe, leave a message. We will comment back.
Absolutely. We take pride in you guys is taking your time out to watch us. So the least thing we can do is comment. And, again, love to have anyone that, feels different, has an opinion on sports. You're more than welcome to come on the show.
Yes, sir.
John, you ready to get episode 32 started, my brother?
Yes, sir. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it. And let's start off with some NFL offseason news. Let's start out with the New York Giants. New York Giants signed 2 quarterbacks in 2 weeks. They signed Jameis Winston 2 weeks ago, and they signed Russell Wilson to a 1-year deal. How do you feel about Russell Wilson going to the Giants? Do you think Russell Wilson will be the starter? And what do you think the Giants' thought process will be during the NFL draft?
Yeah, it's an interesting move by the Giants. I think it's a pretty good play for the quarterback room. I believe Russell Wilson will be the week 1 starter for the Giants, regardless if the Giants do draft a quarterback. I think this tells me that the Giants should not draft a quarterback in number 3. I think they should be looking at the best player available. I'm looking at possibly a combination of elite neighbors with Travis Hunter, or maybe Travis Hunter plays more cornerback. We're still trying to figure out what he's going to play more snaps of, but I look at that combination, and I think that you can do something with that offense if you have Russell Wilson throwing the football. Decent stats with the Pittsburgh Steelers last year with a subpar offensive line. The Giants probably won't be much better unless they improve that throughout the draft or possibly through free agency. They got a decent running game with Tyrone Tracy, but I'm looking at the possibility of maybe having neighbors with Travis Hunter out there with Russell Wilson throwing in the football. The most interesting thing about the Giants that I laugh about is who's going to do the pregame speech? Is it going to be Jameis Winston or Russell Wilson? That's going to be like a hell of an experience right there for that Giants locker room.
I would love to be in there. Hopefully they let the Highly Opinionated or Club JG get the access to the pregame speech or pregame huddle. That would be something. It would really that's definitely an interesting question because Jameis is funny with it and Russell Wilson is less ride. So we know he's funny in a corny way. Jameis Winston is just naturally funny, in my opinion. Yeah. So I like the move for the Giants, like you. They really didn't have it. They really didn't have a choice of the matter. The head coach is on the hot seat. Head Brian Daboll, the general manager Joe Sheen. I think it's Joe Sheen. I might be mispronouncing his last name, but the general manager and head coach is on the hot seat. So they have to get a serviceable quarterback in. Jameis Winston, they gave him 2 years, $8 million. That's backup money. Russell Wilson got 1 year, $10.5 million guaranteed deal, could go up to $21 million. So they obviously think Russ should be the starter, and I agree with you. Let's not, now you don't have to draft on need. You can draft best player available. So if you think that best player available, the Giants pick at number 3. So whether that's Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, who else? Whether they need an offensive lineman, etc. Defensive lineman, you have the option to pick whoever you want to pick. So for me, they don't have to rush to get a quarterback. They have the option of picking the best player available. So I like Russell Wilson signing there. Also, let's just say this. Let's say they do draft a quarterback. We've seen Russell Wilson been able to mentor. I shouldn't say mentor, but Russell Wilson's not bad in the quarterback room. Last year in Pittsburgh, he shared time with Justin Fields. I felt like he was supportive of Justin Fields. Nobody's going to be happy about somebody taking their job, but he was as supportive as he could be. Let's go to Seattle. Seattle had Geno Smith. Geno obviously had a career resurgence. Nobody's going to give Russell Wilson full credit for that, but I give Russ a little bit of credit. He's in the quarterback room. He's teaching them different things. Geno, of course, was asking, okay, Russ, when you see this coverage, what do you see here? Stuff like that. At that time, Russell Wilson was at his apex in Seattle. He was a Super Bowl winning quarterback, top 5 quarterback. So I love Russell Wilson in the quarterback room. If they draft a rookie quarterback, Shedeur Sanders, Tyler Shuck, Jackson Dart, etc. So I like the move for the Giants. Now, will it make the Giants contenders? No. They'll probably still be last in the NFC East, but it gives them a stable quarterback room with a veteran in there, and a veteran can teach younger guys how to play in the NFL, and that's what the Giants need.
Yeah, this is all about building towards the future. There's no immediate success coming with the Giants, no matter who's playing at quarterback, because I think the Giants have different needs that they still need to address. But I think QB1 is at least stable, but they really got to address that offensive line. They're going to have a decent defense, but the weapons, you got to put another weapon out there with league neighbors, in my opinion.
Yeah, you definitely got to. But again, you can draft receiver. You can draft find a receiver in the draft. You can find a running back in the draft. You can find some of these things in the draft. And obviously you can find quarterback in the draft too. But I feel like with Russ in there, again, being stable, that should make guys more professional. Guys should be able to learn how to play the game. Will that make them better as an overall team? I don't think so. I think they'll probably be fourth in that division. Agreed. So again, like I said, like the move for the Giants, like the move for Russ. Let's see how it goes for Russ. The next NFL story is Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs finally landed with a team. He lands with the New England Patriots, 3 years, $69 million deal. He teams up with Drake May. Get Drake May a bona fide number 1 receiver. I like the move for Drake May. He needs a number 1 receiver. Stephon Diggs can somewhat provide that. I think we have different categories of one. Like, for example, to me, the number 1 receiver is Justin Jefferson. Then you'll have a 1A receiver, like a T. Higgins. I think like instead of saying a 2, he's a 1A. He can be a 1 at certain moments, but on this roster and then given the situation, he's a 1A. He's right behind Jamar Chase. I think Stephon Diggs now, he's a 1, but he's the declining 1. So like a 1A, 1B, 1C type of like a wide receiver, but he's still going to help Drake May because Drake May didn't have any weapons at all last year. He was throwing the ball to Pop Douglas. He was throwing the ball to Kendrick Bourne. He was throwing the ball to guys like that who, they're not number 1. Some of them aren't even number 2 receivers. So I like the move for the Patriots. Gives them a bona fide weapon. Mike Vrabel understands how to deal with wide receivers. He dealt with A.J. Brown in Tennessee before they traded A.J. Brown, and he was not a fan of that move when they traded A.J. Brown to the Philadelphia Eagles. So I like the move for Stephon Diggs. I like the move for the New England Patriots. Again, I don't think this makes the Patriots super contenders, but this does make them a better overall team.
Yeah, you hit it right on the head for me. Stephon Diggs he's an aging receiver at 32, and I think, dare I say, he was slightly overpaid by the Patriots. We're talking about $69 million for like 3 years. So I think the price is a little bit steep for a wide receiver coming off an ACL injury at this point in his career, but nonetheless, I do believe Diggs still has a lot left in the tank. The Patriots are doing the right thing by getting their young quarterback a higher level receiver, so to speak. that's been around. Played with the likes of Josh Allen and C.J. Stroud, so it gives them experience in that wide receiver room with a bunch of guys, like you said, that probably are not necessarily number one receivers, but can be serviceable. Stephon Diggs is definitely still levels above those guys, so he definitely helps with the offense there. The Patriots have had a quietly good offseason, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They've invested a lot in the defense as far as free agency. It's going to be interesting to see what they do in the draft. You imagine that they're going to continue to beef up that offensive line, maybe reinforce that running game with right now with just Ramondre Stevenson back there. But getting Stephon Diggs is definitely a good start for them in terms of getting Drake May some more firepower on offense.
Yeah, we definitely agree on that. Again, I don't think that means that we think they're going to win the AFC East. We don't. I don't even think that means we both think they're going to make the playoffs. We don't. But giving your quarterback, your rookie quarterback, second-year pro. Go ahead.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Josh, I got to tell you, bro, I don't think that's too far out of the question for the Patriots. I mean, do we really trust Tua and the Dolphins? We know we're going to get from Josh Allen the Bills. No one's catching them, but do we trust Tua and the Dolphins? Are we sure about the Jets? Justin Fields is there now, and new coach Aaron Glenn, first-year head coach. But are we sure about those two teams being that much better than the Patriots?
I can no longer. I picked the Jets last year to go to the Super Bowl, so I'm good on the Jets. Whatever they do, I will let them surprise me in a good way or a bad way. I'm good with the Jets. So I get your point, but I will say about the Patriots and the AFC, bro. That AFC is murderous row. Think about Cincinnati didn't make the playoffs. Buffalo, Cincinnati didn't make.
I got you on that, but I'm saying within their division, I don't think it's out of the question they can sneak in there as a wild card. They could definitely sneak in maybe a 9-8 or 10-7, something like that. I think it's possible. Mike Vrabel coaching, this guy knows what he's doing. So especially on the defensive side of the ball. So if the Patriots can, utilize what they have and really maximize what they believe Drake May can be, I don't think it's out of the question that this team could potentially make a run at that last wild card spot.
You're not crazy. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying, I just think it's teams that haven't made the playoffs or did make the playoffs and got better. Obviously, we know the AFC: Kansas City, Buffalo, Baltimore. They're your three best teams. Yep. I think we need the Chargers to take a step up with that quarterback, Mr. Herbert. We need Tua to take a step up and stay healthy. Denver got better, and we saw what Bo Nix did last year. I like the offseason that the Broncos had. So I think the Raiders got better. Not saying they're going to make the playoffs, but they got better. So the AFC is hard. So I get your point about the Patriots. They've had a great offseason, especially on the defensive side, to get Stephon Diggs, to go along with Drake May. They signed a few offensive linemen. So they missed out on a few because they wanted the best of the best. But Ronnie Stanley went back to the Ravens. And I think the best left tackle got signed by the Titans. And they wasn't going to pay that money for that tackle. So I do like what the Patriots doing. Like the move for Stephon Diggs, and again, like you said about Mike Vrabel, that's a hell of a coach, and he can make it work, man. He can definitely make it work. The Baltimore Ravens have reached an agreement, a 3-year contract extension with John Harbaugh. You like the move?
I do. I know there's a lot of Ravens fans out there that are probably screaming at me right now, saying, "What are you talking about? We want to move on." But let's look at what the Ravens have done with John Harbaugh. They're in the playoffs basically every year. It's an anomaly when they don't make the playoffs. They've been a model of consistency in the regular season. Do you really want to give that up for an unknown or a guy who are the Ravens really going to get? I had this discussion off camera, but it's who's really out there that you're going to get to replace Harbaugh that can really go better than what Harbaugh's done? I think a lot of this just comes down more to now. The thing about John Harbaugh that absolutely pisses me off to this day is I think at times he uses the challenge flag at the most inopportune, dare I say, very weird, stupid times, where you look at the replay and it's pretty obvious that, this call is not going to be overturned. You're probably not going to win that challenge. So why would you waste the challenge and then waste the timeout? I think he does that a little too often. But as far as just the consistency and the continuity, the Ravens have never been a team that has a bunch of coaches. I mean, in my lifetime, since the Ravens have existed, the Ravens just turned 30 years old. I'm older than the Ravens. I'm 33. But it's they've had Brian Billick and they've had John Harbaugh. You look at how the Pittsburgh Steelers are ran and how historically great of an organization they've been. They had continuity. So that's what the Ravens have here with John Harbaugh. And there's no candidate out there, in my opinion, that makes sense to actually blow up that continuity and bring in a brand new person in the prime of your 2-time league MVP and Lamar Jackson, who's just now getting used to his new offensive coordinator, Todd Monken. So I think this is the right move for the Ravens. Harbaugh is very. He's one with the city. You know, he understands Baltimore and how the Ravens organization does things. There's a level of consistency that we have that's hard to find in the league. So I think by and large, I get where Ravens fans might be a little bit like, man, but I think it's the right move for the organization and John Harbaugh.
Yeah, it's the best move. What fire John Harbaugh and do what? Hire Andy Reid, he has a job. Fire John Harbaugh and hire Bill Belichick, he has a job. Fire John Harbaugh and hire Mike Tomlin, he has a job. Like, and Bill Belichick's not even in the NFL.
Right.
So I think John Harbaugh is a better coach than Nick Sirianni. He just won the Super Bowl. So for me, I mean, people get enamored and with flair and glitz and glamour. Now, sometimes you need meat and potatoes. Meat and potatoes can win you the day. And John Harbaugh,
and that's what the Ravens are. They've never been a glitz and glamour franchise. They are very this like, you know, this is who we are by the book.
John Harbaugh fits that to a T. Now, if you're upgrading, fine, because he hasn't won a Super Bowl in 13 years, 12 years, 13 years. Okay, fine. I understand that. Well, yeah, 12, 13, let's say between 12 to 14 years. They won that in 2011 or 20, wasn't that 2012?
2012, yep.
2012. So 13 years. So, okay, fine. I understand that. We've seen guys get fired for less. I know I'm talking a different sport. Kevin Keats, the NC State men's basketball coach, took NC State to the Final Four, ladies and gentlemen, last year. He's fired. He doesn't have a job. He's unemployed. Now, I get they hired Will Wade. That's great. But Kevin Keats should have never lost his job. That's the same thing with John Harbaugh. He's consistent. He's the model of consistency. He has the Ravens in key positions every year. It's not his fault that people don't catch the ball. They turn the ball over. They fumble. They whatever. That's not his job. That's not his fault. So I like the Ravens keeping Harbaugh. I like the extension. Now, Harbaugh, he does have the pressure of winning, so we definitely need to mention that. So he has to win. But if you're not firing John Harbaugh to get a better coach, then what's the point of firing? Just to say you fired him? That's stupid. Bad organizations do that. The Ravens are not a bad organization.
1,000%.
Our last NFL topic before we go to break. Sources say that the Ravens and Lamar Jackson are working towards a 5-year deal, making him the highest paid quarterback. Highest paid quarterback ever. Yeah, he would be the highest paid. He would be the highest paid quarterback ever with the highest AAV, which is annual value, ladies and gentlemen, ever. So I'll start us off. Same thing with Harbaugh. He has to win. Now, my criticism of Lamar is different than Harbaugh because Lamar actually plays. Harbaugh doesn't play. Harbaugh can draw whatever he wants. The players have to execute. Lamar Jackson, I think he's great. I think Ravens fans had one on the show. The great Sarah Ellison. If you follow the Ravens, you know who Sarah Ellison is. I love Sarah Ellison. I think she's great, and I love Baltimore Ravens fans. They are annoying. Tim said that, and I'll give Tim credit. They are annoying, but for the most part, I get along with them. They're fine. They're rabid football fans. For me, Lamar Jackson has to win. You can win MVP. You can do all this. You can do all that. You have to win in the playoffs. And most of the times when they lose, it's not all his fault, but it's some of his fault. Everyone wants to talk about the playoff game that happened with Mark Andrews getting stripped. Because Mark Andrews had he might have had 2 or 3 errors. He had the drop and he had then he got stripped of the ball. So he had 2 errors in the playoff game. So did Lamar Jackson. He underthrew a wide open Derrick Henry. He threw an interception to a guy. He threw an interception to this day. I watched the play. I don't even know who he was throwing the ball to. So for me, criticism should happen fairly. It shouldn't be unfairly. It should be fairly. We should criticize the team, not just one individual. If we're going to criticize one individual, we should criticize everybody who's had bad plays in the game. So for me, getting back, long story short with Lamar Jackson, he needs to win. I don't care about the MVPs. That's irrelevant to me. I didn't have him as the MVP last year. I had Josh Allen. And part of that was because I didn't want that pressure on him that you won the MVP now that you have to validate that in the playoffs. All Lamar Jackson has to do is win in the playoffs and not where the losses are on him or he's a part of the loss. If he does that, Lamar Jackson's worth every dollar. He's worth every dollar beyond that. But when you win, you're worth every dollar. Jalen Hurts got paid. You don't hear people saying he's overpaid because he won. He's not better than Lamar Jackson. He's not better than Patrick Mahomes. He's not better than Josh Allen. He's not better than Joe Burrow, in my opinion. But he won. He's the king of the hill because he won. That's what Lamar Jackson has to do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a lot of argument there. I mean, look, you said it, Jalen Hurts especially, he's an elite winner. You know, say what you want about his skill set, is he doesn't like, blow your mind with like what he does on the football field, like the guys you just mentioned, but the guy gets the job done. And the Philadelphia Eagles are sitting here as Super Bowl champions. It's funny how Tim, an Eagles fan, likes to call Baltimore Ravens fans annoying. It's funny, I hear the same thing when we talk about other fan bases. Like, don't know the Eagles come up anyway. But yeah, this is it's a no-brainer for the Ravens. Lamar Jackson is Baltimore. He does have to win. You're an all-time great when NFL MVPs don't really mean much to us. You're great when you get to that level. So I think Derrick Henry dropped a pass that was in his hands. I saw Andrews drop a pass for a 2-point conversion where all he had to do was just catch it and roll backwards. I think we have a different conversation if that happens, but that's neither here nor there. On the interception, Rashad Bateman ran the wrong route. Lamar had him going to a different route, but Bateman decided to do something different. That was miscommunication leading to that interception, but nonetheless, it's a turnover. These are things that you can't have in the playoffs. You got to have those cleaned up before you get in the playoffs. And then we talk about the fumble with Lamar Jackson. It's like, you know what? That's just you got to play this game of fire with Lamar when it comes to that, because we've seen this guy do that, pick up bad snaps, fumble the ball, pick it up, and we're all screaming at the TV, throw it away, just throw it away. Then he throws a freaking touchdown. And you're like, what just happened? So that's the game that you kind of have to play as a Ravens fan with a guy like this, because we've seen it time and time again. He makes the amazing out of nothing. And that time in the playoffs, he got burnt. It came back to bite him, and it ended up being a crucial turnover. But I say all that to say, look, just like you said with Harbaugh, like, who are we going to get? If you're not cool with Lamar Jackson as a Ravens fan, who do you think we're going to get? We're not getting Arch Manning out of Texas, because he's probably going to be the number 1 pick. We're not going to tank for that.
Ain't no probably. He is the number 1 pick.
Yeah, the guy is about to take college football by storm. We'll talk about that down the road, but it's just, it's a no-brainer. But like you said, I'm nobody's going to defend Lamar Jackson like me. I'm going to defend him like against anybody until the cows come home. But I will also be the first to tell you when he screws up and he has to do better. As great as he played in that playoff game to bring the Ravens back down from when they were in the halftime, I saw signs of growth, because in the past when the Ravens were down that bad, they weren't coming back in the playoffs. So I saw growth in that regard. He just got to finish. He's too good of a player to not finish. Like I get mad and I try to defend Lamar against people. Like, I get pissed off because a lot of people say all this stuff continuously about how, like, he'll never be that elite quarterback. He never should have been a quarterback. All the stuff that was said from like the time he was in the draft, people still talk about that. They're waiting for him to lose and waiting for him to fail so they can bring that up over and over again. That's the part that pisses me off. But at the same time, sometimes I can't defend you. I can't defend when you turn the ball over in the playoffs. I can't defend when you lose, and it's like, we got to look at points in the game where, okay, you did do that did affect the game. Again, if Andrews catches that ball and just catches it, let it fall in his lap and just tumble on backwards, we got a tie game, and who knows what happens from there. But he didn't catch it. So now that he didn't catch it, we're going to highlight those turnovers that you had. We're going to highlight, all the turnovers that Mark Andrews had, all those little things, the drop pass from Derrick Henry that was kind of underthrown. All those little things just become magnified because you are Lamar Jackson. You are an all-time great quarterback. You are the guy that came out of college. Everyone wanted you to not play quarterback. They're saying because you don't look the part. You don't fit the description of a quarterback. You're an elite athlete, amazing athlete, but you ain't a quarterback. So when I hear all that I get behind a story like that, and I want to defend as much as I can, but there's times where I can't. It's time for Lamar Jackson to figure it out and get it done in the playoffs, because he's too good of a player. This Ravens team is too good.
I agree with that assessment. Let me just say this about those idiots who still want to say Lamar Jackson shouldn't be a quarterback. I don't usually say these words. Do I think Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback? No. But anybody that thinks Lamar Jackson should be a quarterback is a fucking idiot. The man has 2 MVPs. The man has a unanimous MVP. Do you know the other person has a unanimous MVP? You know who it is. It's who I think is the best quarterback ever. Tom Brady. So what are we doing here talking about this? Like, stop. I'm not coming at you, bro. You know that. But these fools, these idiots. And by the way, if it's some people who watch this show you want to come on, I'll be a fool with you. I'll argue with you to the end of the day. And I'm not even the biggest Lamar Jackson fan. I'm not a hater, but I'm not a fan. I'm not the biggest fan. I'll say that. I love his game. I love how he plays. Until he wins, you know this, bro. Until you win, you're going to get criticized, whether it's high school, college, etc. Until you beat St. Francis in high school, doesn't matter. Until you beat, not Duke, in college, Maryland played until you beat. I'm trying to think who was your biggest rival at that time?
Wisconsin and Ohio State were at the top.
Okay, so Wisconsin, Ohio State, you beat them. Okay, in the NBA, like Kevin Durant beat LeBron. LeBron beat Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant had to beat LeBron. That's how it goes. You have to beat the top dog. So for me, Lamar Jackson, you have to win. And if you win, these fools out here, these stupid idiots who saying you shouldn't be a quarterback, which again, that's stupid. Baker Mayfield went number 1 in that draft. I like Baker Mayfield. John, ask me who better out of Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson.
It's Lamar.
8. He's better. And I love Baker. He's not better than Baker. Lamar Jackson, you can make a case Lamar Jackson should have been the number 1 pick in that draft. Between him and Josh Allen. However you want to look at it, between him and Josh Allen. So come on, man. Like these fools, these idiots, these
fourth highest QBR in league history this past season was Lamar Jackson.
And again, for me, part of the reason why I didn't want him to win the MVP, and I thought Josh Allen had a better season. We can debate that, fine. But at the end of the day, when he won the MVP again, I knew what that was going to put on him.
Yep.
You knew what it was. And then I knew, looking at the matchups, we're going to find out who the MVP is because they're going to play each other in the playoffs.
Honestly, dude, I'm glad he didn't win it because everything you just said, like you talking about a guy that now has 3 MVPs and you lose to the guy that was a runner-up. That noise just is going to continue to get louder and louder. Unfair or not.
Unfair. Yeah, unfair or not, it's going to get crazy. And it's not all his fault. Now, again, when me and you disagree, bro, that throw to Henry, you got to make that throw better, yo. He threw the ball low to him. Got to make that throw. Throw it up here. Derrick Henry is, when I mean stiff, like he's big. He's not stiff, but he's big. So it's going to take a little while for him to, try to get down there and get the ball. So, yeah, if you're throwing that to Justice Hill, okay, that's a better pass. Kevion Mitchell, okay, they can do that. They got a little more, they have more agile, they're more swifty. They have more swiftiness than that. Derrick Henry's not that. So throw it up here so he can catch it. Again, the Ravens made mistakes. Not a one-man team. The Baltimore Ravens made mistakes. But anybody that think they should get rid of John Harbaugh and or Lamar Jackson and aren't happy about they came to an extension agreement with John Harbaugh and about to essentially come to an agreement with Lamar, they're idiots. The Ravens have a good situation. They just have to win in January and get to February and find a way to win that game. They do everything else well. They draft well. They find players well. They do everything well. They just need to win, and then everybody will shut the hell up. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Highly Opinionated. We're taking a quick break. We will be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, this episode of Highly Opinionated is brought to you by Edibly Airy. Enjoy the heightened experience of THC edibles in a whole new way. At Edibly Airy, our freeze-dry edibles available in 100 milligram, 200 milligram, 300 milligram, 400 milligram will give you the buzz you crave with a flavor you won't forget. Available in 3 different flavors: watermelon sunset, tropical fruit, and berry. To place orders, please visit the website at ediblyairy.com. While you're there at ediblyairy.com, use a promotion code. You guys see the promotion code on the screen. $ Highly Airy, $. Again, $ Highly Airy, $ for 20% off your first purchase. Follow us on IG at Edibly Airy for new product releases and monthly hookups. Must be 21 and over to purchase. Edibly Airy, the best freeze-dry edibles out. Go shop. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Highly Opinionated. Ladies and gentlemen, the best segment of sports. Let's talk about it. This week's topic for Let's Talk About It is near and dear to my co-host's heart. Maryland, they lost to Florida last week in the Sweet 16. Not close. Well, close. I say tough, but tough and semi-close game. Maryland gave it everything they had, but Florida just had too much. And during that time frame, Maryland not only lost the game, they lost their head coach. Kevin Willard has taken the job at Villinova. He's Villanova's next men's head basketball coach. Before I let John go, I'll just say this. We complain about the transfer portal with the kids. We never complain about the hiring portal for the coaches. Shout out to the great Jay Billis. He's always said that. I get coaches had buyouts in their contract, but a coach at any point in time can leave. Like, for example, Will Wade took that NC State job while he was still coaching McNeese. I don't care what nobody say. He took that job while he was still coaching McNeese in the NCAA tournament. So we always say about the players, man. Oh, man, they getting all this money, and man, they get to move and they get to have flexibility. They have the same access to me. They have somewhat the same accesses that the coaches have. Kevin Willard left Maryland and now is going to Villinova. That's not going to stop him from recruiting in the DMV area. He's still going to recruit in the DMV area. So, meanwhile, we have a Maryland grad on the show, a former Maryland basketball player on the show. JG, the floor is yours.
Yeah. When I first heard about the news with Kevin Willard leaving Maryland, I spent the past couple of days really thinking about it. Like, I just felt really indifferent. You know, like on one hand, like, all right, I get it. This is the era of NIL. This is the era of money talks. Players are transferring. Coaches do it all the time anyway. Like, they'll promise you the moon and back and everything when they recruit you, but then they can bolt in the next year. That's kind of what it is. I think that needs to be, like, you know, emphasized a little bit more, like, because I don't really know if you're a recruit for college basketball, can you really buy into what any coach tells you anymore? You know, like, you commit somewhere, you think you're going to spend the next 3-4 years there, and it's like all of a sudden coach can leave year one. After all that stuff we was talking about, and, you know, he just leaves. The reason why this one hits different for me, obviously, everybody know my love for Maryland. I was born with that in my blood for obvious reasons. It's my heritage. It just hit different because it's Maryland. You know, no disrespect to, you know, other schools. There are mid-majors where you see a lot of coaches, you know, they take a job in like the SEC or the Big East. It's considered like a step up. Maryland, I guess, once upon a time was considered one of those elite jobs that was considered a step up. I've never heard of a coach leaving Maryland after 3 years. We had Lefty Drizel all the years ago, coach forever. Gary Williams, coach forever. My guy, Mark Turgeon, coach for a decade. You don't see that. And after having a successful season, going to the Sweet 16 for the first time for the men's program since 2016, you're thinking, all right, we got to be building something here. Let's keep it going. But then you hear about you and I had a conversation about the article, you know, that you sent me about how Kevin Wood was unhappy about travel and stuff like that, unhappy about like the level of support that Maryland basketball was getting in terms of NIL. And I'm hearing all this stuff, and it's like, man, like, that's why I'm indifferent, because on one hand, I get it. Like, why isn't Maryland pouring in to the basketball team, which has been their identity? Let's call it what it is. Basketball has been the identity of the University of Maryland for as long as I can remember. You know, no disrespect to the other sports that are there. No disrespect at all. But when people first ask you about Maryland, their first thought is basketball. Like Penn State, their first thought is the football team. What are they going to do? Yep. That's what history tells us. He left that, and I'm just like, yo, like, and the AD is gone. You know, the AD went left Maryland and took the job at SMU. The Crab Five is effectively gone because I just saw today that both Jacoby Gillespie and Rodney Rice entered the transfer portal, so they out. Derek Queen is likely going in the draft. He should. Julian Reese graduated. Sultan Miguel graduated. So the Crab Five is done. They all gone. So now you sit here wondering, as a Maryland fan or even an alumnus, like, where is the direction of the program that I love going? What happened that it led to this? And I'm talking about like the administration, the people who helped hire the AD and the head coach. What's going on up there? Those are questions that I'm starting to have, and it's like all this stuff came to a great coach in Kevin Willard. Look, say what you want about the guy leaving, I get it. And there's been reports that like he told the team on a Zoom call that he was leaving. He didn't even tell them to their face. If that's true, I'm not feeling that at all. If that's true, I'm definitely not feeling that. As a player, I wouldn't be feeling that. But you know, it is what it is. It's a business. But yo, Maryland was an elite job, and right now it looks like one of the worst jobs in America right now. in college basketball. Maryland basketball looks like one of the not so attractive jobs in college basketball. Something's wrong. And I think there's something going on within the administration that needs to be addressed. I'm just going to say it. Something's not right with that picture with me, and nothing about this has sat well for me since the news broke late on Saturday night when Kevin Willard took that job to Villanova.
Officially when it broke, because that story had been out for damn near a month that he was going. When he made that press conference saying he wanted to stay in New York for a day and they didn't have the funds and this, that, and the third.
Yeah, to me, leading up to that, bro. Like how that happened? You know what I mean? That's the stuff that I ain't even interrupted or anything, but that's
no. You good. Go ahead.
That's the kind of stuff that's bothering me, bro. Like you don't hear about that from a coach in Maryland. You don't hear about that from Carolina, Duke, all these elite programs and everything. And in my memory, in my time that I've been around the program, Maryland has belonged in that kind of atmosphere, whether it was in the ACC or the Big Ten. I was on a team that had brought Maryland back from a bad spot. You know, we had half the team transferring, and we brought in a bunch of freshmen, and it was myself and a bunch of guys that didn't start out in Maryland but transferred in. We bought in. We came together and said, like, we care about this program, and we had a coach who cared about this program, that it meant something to us. We wasn't getting paid. We just had our scholarships, but we cared about Maryland. Like, it meant something. It damn sure meant something to me. Like, I give everything I have for that program. Still to this day, I would. But it's like, it seems that it's almost like it don't matter no more. Like, pride of the school don't matter no more. A coach signs on to coach at Maryland and he leaves after 3 years. Nah, it's something else is not sitting well with me, and I wonder if it's up top.
Yeah, y'all definitely cared about Maryland. 2014, 2015, y'all went 28-7. That was y'all first year in the Big Ten. Y'all went 28-7.
We were picked to finish 10th that year.
Then the next year, Maryland went 27-9, then 24. Mark Turgeon went 28-7 his first year, 27-9 his second year, 24-9 his third year. It's kind of hard for me to. Well, let me say this. First of all, you know better than me. You're there. You played. You got Maryland in your DNA. You got Maryland in your blood. You got Maryland everywhere, all over you, and I get that. And I definitely take your word on that. Take your word on what you're saying, because you're a lot closer to the situation than I am. So it'd be foolish for me not to take your word. And what I'm saying is, it doesn't mean I'm not taking your word. I just want to add something to this, and you know where I'm going. I think Maryland's biggest mistake was joining the Big Ten, because they joined a conference that's a foot. I know people want to talk about the Big Ten as a basketball. It's a football conference. It's a football conference, just like the SEC is a football conference. Florida could win the national championship. Auburn could win the national championship. It's still a football conference. So I thought Maryland should have stayed in the ACC, where that's a basketball conference. I don't care how many times Clemson won or Florida State. It's a basketball conference. You got legends in there with North Carolina, Maryland, NC State, Virginia, etc. That DMV, that whole I-95 corridor. So for me, I thought Maryland's biggest mistake was that. And hearing the coach complain about funds and stuff like that, I just think that, like you said, there's something going on with the administration, with the athletic director, because there's no way that a Maryland basketball coach should be complaining about funds. If you're coaching at Wagner, okay, you can be complaining about funds. I get that. You don't have the best situation. Maryland was in the ACC and now is in the Big Ten. They're not struggling for money. They have Under Armour that sponsors them. They're not struggling for money. I'm sure they have, whether you look at Stephon Diggs went to Maryland, Torrey Smith went to Maryland. They have alumni who, I'm not saying they're Oprah Winfrey or Michael Jordan rich, but they have, they're not rubbing two pennies together, hoping to get some money. They got a couple dollars. You get what I'm saying? So my point is that they have some resources. They have some funding that can help them. So I'm going to lean on you. I'm going to lean on you and lean with you on this topic. And again, I think the move to the Big Ten was a terrible move. And moves like this can set you back years. It doesn't have to be right then and there. It can set you back years behind. I know you love Maryland, and I get that. But since Maryland has joined the Big Ten, Maryland was ranked, the highest Maryland has been ranked is number 2. The furthest that Maryland has went since joining the Big Ten is the Sweet 16. That's the furthest they went. They went to the Sweet 16 in 2015, 2016, and went to the Sweet 16, 24, 25 this past season. Well, this past season for them. So for me, I just don't. I never was a fan of the Big Ten moves. It has nothing to do with Duke and no. I didn't understand the move because it's a football conference. The ACC is a basketball conference. You're a basketball school. Duke will never leave the ACC. It's a basketball conference. Why am I going to leave that? They probably would merge it with the conference now they're talking about was the Big East, the ACC and the Big East merging. So I could see that. But as far as basketball, but to go to a conference for football and you're not a football school, yeah, to me, that wasn't the smartest idea. And I think for me, they're paying on that now.
Everyone has their opinion about like just the conference move. I never thought it really mattered. Like it was a money move. Like as we all know, this was all about money. The same reason that Rutgers left the Big East to go to the Big Ten. Like it's all about just like what's the next opportunity to bring in more viewership, bring in more money. What's the market? That's really what this move was all about. I hear you from a purely basketball perspective. I get it. ACC was, in the heyday, really just elite. There was no conference that was better. You had the best players, you had the best coaches, and the best teams all together back in the heyday. I get it. I still think but I mean, look where we are now. It's like the ACC has Stanford and Cal and SMU. That's not on I-95.
No, it's not.
You got Texas and you got California. So if anything, you want to do it to split it up like the football was doing it before. You got Big Ten West, Big Ten East, ACC West, ACC East.
Yeah, I get it.
Try something, you know what I mean? And then, let's talk about the mergers and all that. I get it. But Maryland's also only been in the Big Ten for a decade. The other teams you mentioned that have all this history, they've been in the Big Ten forever, a very long time. Penn State's been in there forever. Ohio State, very long time. All these Wisconsin, very, very long time. Like the guys in the ACC, they got decades of history in basketball in that conference. For Maryland to do what they've done in a decade, not just men's basketball or women's basketball, I think they've been very successful. They haven't been, bad. They haven't been finishing in the bottom three like Rutgers has since they joined the conference. They've been consistently doing well in the regular season. Now the postseason is a different story. I understand all that. I mean, Maryland hasn't gotten to the Big Ten tournament championship yet. That's something that is definitely something to talk about. And then in the postseason and everything, it's like you want to see a team like Maryland get past the Sweet 16, but it just I do think about where the direction of this program is headed now because I'm not sure. You're talking about the 80 left, and then you lose your head coach, and then your entire starting five is gone. I just saw a report the lone recruit that Maryland had for next season just reopened his commitment. Obviously, for obvious reasons, the coach ain't there no more. So you really sit here and wonder, who is going to come right the ship. And there's been a couple, feelers about Buzz Williams. There's been a couple of rumors about Nate Oates down at Alabama, who's kind of having the same thing. He's complaining about how Alabama pours more into the football team and doesn't pour anything into the basketball team, despite the success that they've had the past few years. So you wonder what could happen there with Nate Oates. Steve Blake, the great Steve Blake, who we all know was on that 2002 national championship team, he's since tweeted saying, "Hey, I'm available. Let's do something about it." You never know. Juan Dixon's still out there. You know what he means to the program. So it's a lot of questions and a lot of flux in the air. But if you're a Maryland fan and you're an alumnus like myself who really cares about the program, you just find yourself stuck in the clouds. What's going to happen next? Where is the direction of this program headed? Are we headed for some tough years? You just don't know.
Who do you want to be the coach for Maryland? Who you want to be the men's? Who if you were the athletic director, who would you hire to be the next men's basketball coach for Maryland?
That's a great question. He wouldn't do it. But
I tend to do that from time to time with people. Try to ask them great questions so they have a great answer.
He wouldn't do it, but Ernie Graham, that'd be number one.
Okay, all right, let's do this. Take yourself and take, obviously, ladies and gentlemen, Ernie Graham is his father. Let's take your father out. Let's take you out.
Okay.
Who would you? Because he's never. That. If he coaching at Maryland, I'm coaching at Duke. So that's what I just so we know that ain't happening. And
No, I
Mr.
feel it.
EG, you know I love you, sir. You know I got nothing but love for you. Can't wait to see you soon, sir. But what so take you out and take your pops out. Who would you if you had the choice? You're the athletic director. You asked Andy Graham, he said no. You obviously you can't do it. So who would you select?
No, in all seriousness, I would look at Nate Oates in Alabama with the success he's had recently. I would look at Bruce Pearl. I would look at if I want to go player coach who actually has a little bit of coaching experience. Why not bring back Juan Dixon, the guy that won a national championship for this team? I would understand looking in that direction. I would seriously look at Buzz Williams, for the success that he's had everywhere he's gone. That would be a good candidate as well. So those are the top 3 or 4 that would come to my mind. Dream scenario, and again, this probably wouldn't happen. The final way to, I was gonna say try to like poach Tom Izzo, but he's not leaving Michigan State for anybody. But yeah, those 4 guys that I mentioned, I think would be the top 4 for the moment.
Yeah, I like Nate Oates. I think Nate Oates will stay at Alabama. I saw a report earlier said he's not interested in the Maryland job. Steve Blake, I like. Juan Dixon, I like. But for me, the guy that the Maryland Terrapins should hire, put that, you obviously know, Buzz Williams. It's just made for Buzz to coach Maryland. One, he's in the SEC. I like Texas A&M. I like what Buzz Williams has done with Texas A&M. He's not winning that conference. So get out now. When you have a chance, you can breathe. He has a better chance of winning the Big Ten than he does the SEC.
I agree.
The SEC sent 14 teams into the tournament. That's insane to me. So
he's got 2 in the Final Four now,
and they got 2 teams in the Final Four. So they're not. They had 8 near Sweet 16.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, he's not winning that conference. We know that. So, and I know Buzz might not look at it like this, but back in his mind, he knows that. So he would have to go on a historical run, a crazy run just to win a conference. And then you got to go to the NCAA tournament and probably face 1 or 2 of those teams in some pathway. So I would, the Ravens, the Maryland Terrapins should hire Buzz Williams. That's what they should hire. That would be a great move for Maryland. And I think that would get you and the Maryland alumni and the fan base, I think that would get y'all going again. Go ahead.
One more name I brought up, real shot in the dark. Mark Few over Gonzaga. I think Mark Few's honestly run his course with Gonzaga. He's done amazing things at that school. I think it's time. I think you talk about a chance for Mark Few to go coaching in a better conference with better competition, so to speak. I think that'd be a crazy name to throw out there, but why not?
So you threw one crazy name. I'm gonna throw out one crazy name. Then we'll take a break. Not necessarily saying he's going to do this, but I think his time is running his team too. I think Kansas need to do something with Bill Self. Now, they're not going to fire Bill Self. I get that. I understand that. I get that. He's a national championship coach. He's a hell of a coach. But you know this, and all people know this, men, women, except when you're in a relationship with somebody, relationships go bad because it gets old. It gets stale. And that's how I look at that's how I look at Bill Self in Kansas. It's getting stale. Like, he lost in the first round. Kansas was a 7 seed. I can't remember the last time I seen Kansas as a 7 seed in my lifetime. So he's hitting the portal right. He hit the portal right because he got Hunter Dickinson. He's not recruiting well. He's not hitting the portal right to get the guards that he needs. So for Maryland, I would take an outside chance. I would hit up Bill Self because he can start afresh in Maryland. That you can give Kansas to somebody else. You can start afresh, and then that gives you new blood, gives you new life, gives you new momentum to start recruiting.
I like that play actually a lot. I like Bill Self to possibly go to Maryland. I think that time, like you said, that time in Kansas, I think has ran its course. Because anytime you have a team that starts preseason number 1 to end up
number 1, and they were, my bad, they were a 7 seed, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. A 7 seed in the NCAA tournament. You're not a top 25 team.
Yeah,
that's what that means. You can just see the rankings and how they do it when they did the mock selection tournament, mock show in January. So my point is that Bill Self, you're a hell of a coach. I'm not saying you can't coach, but sir, it's time to do something different.
Agreed.
Ladies and gentlemen, you watch Highly Opinionated. Taking a quick break. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, this episode of Highly Opinionated is sponsored by Wolves of War. In some of the episodes, you can see my co-host and Ross wearing a brand called Wolves of War. Wolves of War is our first sponsor, ladies and gentlemen, and we are so thankful to have those guys sponsoring Highly Opinionated. Thank you very much. The actual meaning of Wolves of War is that it represents having a strong path behind you through the battles of life. With the right people behind you, you can get through anything. You guys see the link for Wolves of War. Make sure you guys click on the link. Shop, great apparels, t-shirts, sweatsuits, whatever you want, they have. Once again, Wolves of War. Make sure you guys go shop. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Highly Opinionated. Ladies and gentlemen, my guy, the great Dylan, for a recap of last week's UFC and prepare you guys for Fight Night, UFC Fight Night 257. Here he is. Here's Dylan.
What's up, guys? Josh, John. Welcome back to Dill's Bangin Breakdowns. Let's do this. Last week's recap, all right? I'm not even sure where to start. 256 recap. They say, and I'm going to say it again, I'm going to keep saying it, if the prelims ain't good, the main card better be top-notch. Them boys better be watching the prelims and saying, 4 split decisions and only 2 KOs with the prelims. I'm going to go out there and show out. But I don't think that's what happened for the whole entire card. Four split decisions on the prelims and 2 KOs. Weigh those out for me. I need more than that. The 2 KOs were absolutely nasty, though. I'm big fan of that. Second fight of the night coming into that, Jamal Emmers came out hard with the KO. And when his right hand delivers and lands, that right hand hits. And my guy put him out. And that was in the first round. Good. 4 minutes in. He was eyeing him up the whole fight, though. The right hand was there. Mirandis kept looking right, kept dodging a little bit. He was eating it the whole time, eating the feints. And 4 minutes in, he got a mean right hand and got put to sleep. Next fight, split decision. Next fight, split decision. Next fight, unanimous decision. I'll give him the unanimous decision. That doesn't mean you did anything, though, for 3 rounds. You just looked better than your opponent for 3 rounds if that's how they're scoring it. So I don't want to give anybody a decision benefit, but if you do look good for 3 rounds and you are dominating and outdoing your opponent, I will give it to you. So I will give it to Maliki Acosta. He did a great fight on that one. That was awesome by him. He dominated for the 3. We'll give it to him. The last fight on the prelims, don't even know where to start on that one. These 2 guys ain't playing. These 2 middleweights, big fan of Alberto Gutar, on that one. Big fan of him. His arms are tree trunks. Legs, tree trunks, bodies of tree trunks. He could be a running back in the NFL. That's how beefy this guy is. And he hits hard. Feints all night. He did throw a couple kicks, which is unlike him. He's more just get in, heavy hand boxer throwing in. His little Philly shell is good when he's on the back up. Solid fight for him. First round, 3 minutes in, big nasty KO. Big fan. Prelims, you could say they were better. You could say they were just equal. First fight in, unanimous decision. I was going to give that one to Rodriguez. Big fan of him. He's with the Fighting Nerds. He's mouthy. That guy likes to chirp. He likes to fight. Unfortunately, he lost it. He did go full 3 rounds, 5 minutes each. They both looked great. There was no tiring in either of them. But Borjas got him on that one. So, like I said, it's whatever decision, though. You got to show out and try and get something done with a KO. These guys live, fight, think, everything fighting, everything knock my opponent out. So that's whatever. Oliveira with a nasty knockout on the next fight in. One first round. See, that's what I like to see. I'm all about a quick finish in the first, but I'd like to see it go a little longer just so we can see somebody scrap. But I am not mad at an almost 5-minute KO. If you're going that 5 full distance or 5 minutes and you're reading them out and you finally get him with that KO before the bell rings, big fan of that one. And Oliveira looked good. That guy's fast. He's good. So congrats to him. We'll see what happens with him next. Raul Rosas Jr. I said something about him last week. Youngest one in the UFC. Youngest contract ever given out to anybody in MMA. He's 17 years old, came in the UFC. Pretty cocky. He's a dominant wrestler. He won. He lost. He didn't know what to do. He was always definitely chirpy, too. Loves to talk and say he's better than everybody. And he went the full 15 minutes, 3 rounds, 5 minutes each. He won, but it was definitely wishy-washy on both of them. Morales is a tough dude also, and he can grapple. And them boys definitely were grappling, getting it in. But still, decision, we'll give it to Rosa, but I need to see something more from him. If he's going to try and get up there in the rankings, he needs to submit him. He needs to get a knockout. He needs to do something to earn that. But he's still good. I'll give it to him. CJ Verga versus Edgar Chairez. That was a good one right there, too. Submission, first round, 2 minutes in. I think I said Edgar was going to win. Big fan of him. Always been a big fan of him. His rear naked chokes are nasty. He's got a couple triangles. Wouldn't want to see him on the ground. Wouldn't want to see him with the hands either. The flyweight dudes are always quick and witty about it. They know what's up. They don't want to be on the ground long, and if they do, you know something's going to happen. And Edgar got the win on that one. Great fight from him. Big fan of him. Keep an eye out for him also. Manuel Torres, Drew Dober. I thought Drew Dober was this little unit who was just going to come out there first round, get a quick knockout like he wants to and usually does. Unfortunately, the tables turned on him. First round in 1 minute and 45 seconds, he got laid out cold. A little ground and pound to finish him off. Manuel Torres, he is a monster. That guy is quick, and he didn't want to be in there with Drew Dober anyway. He got a couple hard shots taken. Drew Dober could throw him, and that guy's hands are heavy, and I wouldn't want to eat none of his either. So good for him good for Torres for getting that fight done in the first round and not taking any more of them heavy hands by Drew Dober. But I'm still a big fan of Drew Dober. Drew Dober, keep on the lookout for him. That's my guy. Main event on that card, Brandon Moreno and Steve Erceg went the distance. Brandon Moreno is a monster. Former UFC champion. They had a crazy him back and forth run with can't think of his name, but it's for the belt. They were 4 fights in. Brandon lost it, came back. Brandon lost again after losing the belt. And now he fought Steve Erceg, and he looked amazing, dude. His uppercuts were there, although Steve Erceg is a monster also, going full 5 rounds with Brandon Moreno's no joke either. Them boys are going to go the full distance. And the 5th round almost looked the same as the first round with how quick these boys were. So both of them, big fan of both these guys. Steve Erceg is now 2 loses in the column for that lose column for him. So I'm not sure what he's going to do after this, but granted, he did fight for the belt prior to Brandon Moreno, and then he just fought Brandon Moreno, a former UFC champion. So his resume is definitely up there with who he's fought. So don't count Steve Erceg out ever. But congrats to Brandon Moreno. He looked great. He's probably going to go fight for the belt after this. I hope he does. Love watching him fight. 256 recap. That's what it is. Let's talk about 257 for a little bit. Josh Emmett is the main event, main card. All we know Emmett is for knockouts and being nasty and knocking people out. And I love Josh Emmett. His knockout against Bryce Mitchell was disgusting. Bryce Mitchell was done for 5 minutes after the knockout. But before we get to my guy, Josh Emmett, there's definitely a couple good fights to look out for on the 257 card. Prelims are wishy-washy on it. Some of these guys, their resumes aren't too up there. No rankings. Davey Grant's on there. Big fan of him. Watch out for him. O'Day Osborne. We do love O'Day Osborne. He is on the prelims, and he's a very fast flyweight. A lot of knockouts. Doesn't like to grapple. He's kicking. He's throwing teeps. He's head kicking. Big fan of O'Day Osborne. Look out for him on the prelims. Another guy on the prelims to look out for also is Victor Henry. I watched his last fight. He looks great. His hair may get in the way. Is that long hair? And it may get in the way of landing some punches and getting up in the eyes or something like that. And also, the long hair, if you get hit, it tends to bounce back a little bit. And it looks like you get hit harder than you actually got hit. So some guys tend to cut their hair in the UFC for that reason and then happen to go on a crazy win streak. So Victor Henry throws hands, and that's my guy. His last fight looked good. I'll take him on this one. That's a good fight, though. Pedro Falco versus Victor Henry. Watch out for that one. I'll take Henry on that one. So I got Henry, Davey Grant, and Osborne if you guys need some picks for that the prelims. Main card, pretty stacked. Some of these guys are definitely reputable and great for watching. Some of them are more boring. Great guy, Gerald Meerschaert's on that card, and you know he loves to fight. He's fighting Brad Tavares. Brad Tavares also loves to fight. Both United States guys, both heavy hitters, middleweight division. They're probably going to I wouldn't expect them to go the full 15 minutes. I'm going to go with Gerald Meerschaert on this one to get a knockout because Brad Tavares is coming off a loss, and I am a fan of Gerald. Big fan. So that's a good fight to watch out for. The co-main event, Pat Sabatian versus Brito. That's a great fight. Brito is nasty. He is so quick. He's never backing down. He's never one to put the back pedal on and start moving in reverse. That guy is always hands up, ready to go, pushing forward. You're not stopping. You're going to be on the back heel. Big fan of him. Great co-main event to look out for. But the main event on this one is Lerone Murphy and Josh Emmett. Like I said, Josh Emmett is crazy with the hands. His fight with Bryce Mitchell, I believe it was the first round. His fight prior to that. Let's look up Josh Emmett's fight history. Even though Lerone Murphy, I'm pretty sure he is coming off a win also. Yeah, Josh Emmett. He's 7-2, 7 by knockout, 2 wins by submission, 7 first-round finishes. Josh Emmett. Big fan of Josh Emmett. I'm going to go with Josh Emmett on this main event. But Lerone Murphy, he's coming off a win also. He just beat Danny Ige. Both these guys are crazy. The main event on this one is probably the best one to watch out for. And they do that on purpose, but not to say that these Tavares fight and the Gerald Meerschaert fight couldn't be also a main event. But this Josh Emmett and Lerone Murphy is going to be a crazy fight. If it's a 15-minute fight, I believe Josh Emmett is going to probably take it. But if it's a 25-minute fight, we're going to go with Lerone Murphy. He has a little more experience in the 5-rounders. I think his last fight was 5, if not the one before that. So, but I'm still going to go with my guy Josh Emmett on this one. Look out for that. His hands are heavy, and that guy does not want to miss, and you do not want to get hit by him. So let's go with Emmett, and that is my 257 breakdown. Let's go Orioles. Let's go Ravens. I'm excited for this upcoming season. Go O's, go Birds.
Dylan, my guy, you are the best. Can't wait for your segment next week. I hear there might be a surprise in that segment next week. Can't wait to watch, Dylan. You are the best, my brother. John, let's end the show. On a good note for me. Sorry for you, bro. Final four set. We got the number one seeds. Number 1 seed Florida Gators versus the number one seed Auburn Tigers. That game is 6:09 p.m. Eastern time. And then on Saturday, in my opinion, the main event, the number 1 seed Houston Cougars versus the number 1 seed, the team that had the easiest path to get to the Final Four. The Duke Blue Devils. That game is 8:49. Both games will be called by the legendary Iron Eagle, Grant Hill, Bill Raftery, and the great Tracy Wilson on the sideline. So, John, who's going to play in the national championship on Monday?
I have the Florida Gators going against the Duke Blue Devils in the national championship game. Auburn surprised me. They showed me something when they beat Michigan State. I thought Michigan State would take them out. I thought to be the number 1 seed that would not make it to the Final Four. They showed me a little something. Janai Broome is a Player of the Year candidate for a reason. When I went out with that injury, but came back and just continued to be the impact player that he is, that he has been all season long. So Auburn's going to be a tough out. I just look at Florida, and I just think that's a complete team right there. They're led by this kid. The name escapes me right now. Walter Clayton Jr. They're led by Walter Clayton Jr., bona fide star in college basketball, and he's definitely NBA bound. This guy he's
a lottery pick.
He just plays at a different speed than everybody else, it feels like, when he's out there. Just efficient, just really like unrattled, and has that clutch gene already. He showed it against A&M, showed it again early on against I believe it was against UConn. Just made big shot after big shot. So when you got a guy like that doesn't get phased in the waning stages of the game and in postseason play, that's a guy you want on your team going into the Final Four. And I think he will be the difference in this game. The fact that Auburn just doesn't have as much firepower as Auburn has. I know they got Pettiford, they got Miles Kelly, Janai Broome in the crew. These guys are phenomenal offensively. I just think Walter Clayton is just a touch better. And I think Florida, the way they play, can possibly speed up Auburn. And they are a very good offensive rebounding team, and they can shoot free throws. Auburn's Achilles heel, which is something that you pointed out, they're not the best free throw shooting team. And that can come out to bite you at any point in time in this tournament. I believe Florida, with the combination of their great rebounding team on both sides, both offensively and defensively, the way they shoot the basketball, the frantic pace that they play with, and that guy Walter Clayton Jr., I think Florida makes it to the national championship. On the other side, Duke and Houston, I think this is where the road ends for Houston. They are one of the, if not the best defensive team in college basketball all season long. They will speed you up. They will rattle you. They will get in your face. They will make you uncomfortable. But I just think when push comes to shove, will Houston have enough offense to contend with Duke's offense? I don't believe they will. And as great as defensive they are, they don't have a guy. They don't have a guy that's like, hey, here's the ball, go get it done. I'm not calling no plays. Just take the ball, go do something with it. Duke has that guy in Cooper Flag. Houston doesn't have that guy. Duke wins.
So Florida and Duke in the national championship. Man, we agree a lot. I think Florida beats Auburn. I think Duke beats, well, obviously. I'm constructively obligated to take Duke, so I think Duke's going to win the national championship. I told you guys that before the before the NCAA tournament started. So I think Duke could beat Houston. But I want to give a shout out to Auburn. I'm gonna give a shout out to Bruce Pearl, Janai Broom. They as the tournament progressed, they showed why they were a number one seed. They made timely plays. Do they play well every game? No, but they made timely plays. And I thought Auburn was going to be the first number one seed knocked out, and then I thought Houston was going to lose to Tennessee in the Elite Eight, and Houston dominated Tennessee. That game was over from the jump. So congratulations to Houston, and congratulations to the Houston Cougars, and congratulations to the Auburn Tigers. I had Tennessee, and I had Michigan State like you did. So I was wrong on those two. With that being said, I'm going to go against them one more time. I like Florida. I just think Florida is an all-around complete team. They're better than Auburn. And they met in the regular season. Florida went to Auburn and destroyed them. So I think Florida won't destroy Auburn again, but I think Florida knows how to win. Walter Clayton Jr., Ty Golden, the coach, they've instilled confidence in these guys. That last game they played Texas Tech in the Elite Eight. That last game against Texas Tech, it was looking dicey with 5 minutes left. Ty Golden was calm. Clayton Jr. was calm, and they found a way to win the game. They have the players they have the personnel. They have 10 guys that they can legitimately play and feel comfortable with playing. So give me Florida over Auburn. And again, with Duke, Houston will be a challenge for Duke because they play defense. But I just think this Duke team is on another level. And I think they will not only beat Houston, but I think they will beat Florida next Monday in the national championship.
I'm gonna stick with my pick that I chose from the beginning. I'm gonna pick Florida as my national champion on Monday night against Duke.
So we both have Florida and Duke playing in the national championship. I have Duke, of course. You have Florida. I will say this: the Final Four is a great experience, ladies and gentlemen. If you have the chance to be in San Antonio this week, get yourself some tickets and go to the Final Four. It's nothing like seeing 4 different colors in the arena, and all 4 teams have the thought process that they're advancing to Monday. Duke thinks they're advancing. Auburn thinks they're advancing. Florida thinks they're advancing. Houston thinks they're advancing. So it's nothing like the Final Four Saturday. Obviously, the national championship is Monday, but the Final Four Saturday is a better experience in the national championship on Monday because with all the different colors, all the different scenery, all the different festive things going on with the 4 teams in the Final Four. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you for watching episode 32 of Highly Opinionated, the best sports show out. For the best producer in the game, the best editor in the game, the best guy in the game, Ross. For the best co-host in the game, ladies and gentlemen, you make sure you like, subscribe, and follow the Club JG podcast. I'm Merely Josh. We will see you guys next week. We out. Enjoy the Final Four.